The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission on high alert as the youth mark the lowest numbers in voter registration turnout. Companies show high success rate with more employed women than men. Stories of theft of funds and medical supplies reported in Kenya at the very start of the pandemic. Compounds in cannabis show treatment for COVID-19. Hello there, a very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us for the evening news update today. My name is Gloria Mwangi. Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commissioner Abdi Guliye has said the commission is not to blame for the low youth voter turnout during the mass voter registration exercise. The commissioner absolved the IEBC of any wrongdoing during the recent mass registration exercise, saying that the young voters are skeptical about voting. Actually, research shows that 4 in 5 of the young people believe that the outcome of elections will affect their daily lives, and 79% of the youth believe that the pandemic has helped them realize that political leaders' decisions matter. According to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairman, Wafula Chebukati, the agency is concerned about the low voter registration trend among the youth as the mass listing drive, which started on Monday, October 4th, is planned to end on Tuesday, November 2nd. He revealed this during a meeting of senior officials from the Judiciary, Ministry of Interior, the IEBC, and the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, which was aimed at discussing the preparations about the country's general elections. And now our correspondent, David Muli, joins us live. Why do you think we have low voter turnout among the youth?
Last election, we witnessed something that was quite discouraging. We had to do a re-election because the losing side claimed to have rightfully won the election, and now the efforts from the youths to vote for the first round was basically null and void. So this discouraged the youth, and I feel like that's the energy that they are bringing into this election.
The youth say that the voting exercise does not have an impact on their lives.
The government should liaise with the IEBC to ensure there is free and fair election this time. So in terms of integrity and eligibility, the IEBC should at least promise for this election to be free and fair, so that we might have everyone feeling that their vote does count.
Sita vote kwa sababu the system is crooked. Watu wote wenye saizi wako kwa serikali bado ndio wanataka bado tuwapatie kura, na wametufeli wote wakiwa support.
Una vote?
Yes, ndio na vote.
Kwa nini una vote?
Why na vote? Because nataka a new government change. Nataka vote MPA ndio form a new government ndio itasaidia youth na ita empower youth.
Are you voting?
Yes.
Why are you voting?
Tunataka kuchange ma leaders tuweke wengine.
Why do you think we have low voter turnout among the youth?
Voter turnout among the youth really has to do with a number of challenges or reasons. And I see the situation now is there is apathy, and many young people really don't care. And that can be attributed to a couple of reasons as I have said. But I think top among the reasons is many people feel the government isn't working for them. They have issues, the young people have issues, they have business ideas they want to pursue. They have academic interests they want to pursue. But when they look at what the government is doing, instead of providing an enabling environment, there's a lot of corruption, even for the money that is meant to create an enabling environment for the youth. So that when young people see that, they ask themselves, why should they care? You know, why should they care when it comes to voting? You know, are you going to vote and experience the same thing over and over and over? At some point, people lose interest, and that is one of the things that has contributed majorly to the apathy when it comes to voter turnout. Yeah, the other thing is corruption. Many people will tell you that corruption is rampant in the country. Young people right now are graduating in big numbers. Hundreds of thousands are graduating every year. Competent, they're able, they're skilled people. But when it comes to job opportunities, that's a different ballgame. It's not a question of skills. Many young people will complain that it's a question of who do you know. It's a question of do you have someone of your tribe in government in that position, or do you have a family member, someone close to you who can pitch in for you to get that job opportunity. So when young people see that, and of course not everybody is connected in government, there's this apathy that develops. So you have the people who are vying to become a certain position in government, the president or senator, MP. When a young person sees this person, because of the tribalism in the country, they will look at them and they see this person is not of my tribe. So that contributes to apathy, because they think if they get into government, they're going to look out for the people who are of their tribe. So it's a real problem. It's a real problem. It's something that has to be tackled, as well as the other issues. Yeah. For real, many young people will feel the government is supposed, or will think really the government is supposed to provide jobs for them. And we are talking about millions of young people. There are just this much amount of jobs that the government can provide. And when you're in the position of the government, the responsibility shifts from, are you going to provide jobs, to, are you going to provide an enabling environment for job creation? So I think there's also an issue of misinformation when it comes to young people as to what the responsibility of the government is vis-a-vis their expectations. The government is really best when it comes to, or when they focus on providing an enabling environment for them to create jobs, or for job creation. Yeah.
The youth say that the voting exercise does not have an impact on their lives.
I think many young people don't know everything that the government is doing, or so much about what the government is doing or has been trying to do to help them, because we see investors coming in. We see there's a reason why they're coming in. Yeah? There's a reason why they're trusting that the government relations in the country is enough or is attractive enough for them to come in. So it's a question of, is there something the government is doing that I don't know? And because I don't know, I'm blaming the government. And if I knew, I would have tapped into those opportunities for job creation to enable my ideas come to life. Right now we have venture capital firms that are springing up all over the country. And these capital funds have millions and millions, really millions of dollars, not even Kenya shillings. But then they are asking, where are the ideas? Where are the business plans? We have been told that the country is 70% young people, but we have this amount of money. Where are the people? But then at this side, we have the people who don't know that all these opportunities are there, and the government has facilitated some of these people to come into the country and provide an enabling environment for job creation. So I think it's also misinformation that leads young people to blame the government, and the blame game is really big to a point where there is apathy towards voting. Because if you are going to blame someone and the person keeps on doing what you are accusing them of, then, and you don't know what else they're doing to help you, at some point you're going to lose interest with them. And I think young people have lost interest with the government. If you look at awareness when it comes to what the government is doing, and you look at the level of apathy towards voting and towards government officials, you will see that young people may not be aware, and because they are not aware, there is apathy. When people don't know what you're doing, they really won't care much. So awareness, that's something that has contributed to the apathy when it comes to voting. People don't know what the government is doing to help them. And because they don't know what the government is doing to help them, they're not going to tap to those opportunities that the government has been providing. So it's not really always that the government is bad. The government hasn't been helping them. It's also a question of, do we know? Are we aware? Yeah. Right now in Kenya, it's arguably about 70% of Kenyans are young people. And interesting enough, it's the same number if you look at Uganda, if you look at Tanzania, the East African community. And just the other day we had DRC joining East Africa, and that's a 90 million population. Basically right now East Africa, it's in population more than the US. Right now we should be in the 400 and something million people number. And that's opportunity, that's business, and that is something that the government has provided. When young people don't know this, when young people don't see these numbers, when young people don't appreciate the opportunities that come with such developments, then they will not pursue them, and they will remain focused on looking for a job in that small area. And if they don't get that job in that small area, then they're going to blame the government. They're going to have a level of apathy, And not just apathy, for some of them it's more than apathy. For some of them it's disdain towards the government, really. Yeah. Some of them, it's not apathy always that the people don't want to participate in voting. So, some people are very aware, they care so much about voting, but they will not vote. Why? Because of disdain, you know. So that's something that the government and community leaders need to look into.
For women, some of the most harmful gender inequalities are enacted within the human resources practices. The workplace has sometimes been referred to as an inhospitable place for women due to the fact that they experience different forms of gender inequalities, with some regions facing a gap of more than 50% percentage points. Blaise Ogutu reports.
Despite some progress made over the last few decades in increasing women's labor force participation and narrowing gender gaps in wages, gender equality in the world of work still remains an elusive goal. While millions of women have become successful entrepreneurs, women are still grossly underrepresented in the world's boardrooms. Promoting decent and productive employment and income opportunities equally for women and men should be one of the key priorities. Integrating gender concerns into employment promotion will contribute to more effective boosting of productivity and economic growth, human resource development, sustainable development, and reducing poverty.
The current global labor force participation for women is just under 47%, and for the men, it's 72%. That's a difference of 25 percentage points. What can you say about that?
My name is Jeremiah Kagwe. I work in the Public Service Commission of Kenya, specifically in the Institutional Advisory Services Department. And I'm also a lecturer at the College of Human Resource Management, based here in Nairobi. If we look at the appointments in the Nairobi Security Exchange for the listed companies, which are around 61 of them, only around 10 of them do we have the headship at the CEO level headed by female. At the same time, we have less than 10 of female holders of the positions of the chairperson in those boards. And interestingly, they are paid the least salary. So this is a clear indication that there is inequality in the labor market based on gender. The other inequality is based on disability. The Constitution of Kenya provides that 5% of all the job holders in the public service should be persons with a disability. That has not been achieved, which currently stands at around 3% based on the publication by the Public Service Commission and other institutions. The other areas of inequality is on the minority groups and the marginalized groups. The small communities living in the arid and semi-arid areas have been left out by virtue of inaccessibility to education, which makes it them difficult to compete for high positions in the public service and also in the private sector. Inequality also arises in terms of education levels and social status, that individuals who are holding relatively senior positions like board members, the CEOs, the directors, are generally paid very competitively. But employees who are holding lower level positions across both the public and the private sector are generally paid relatively poor wages. The inequality can also be looked at in terms of the nature of employment. Those who are holding formal employment, they generally tend to be paid well. Those in the informal sector, particularly the casuals, short-term employment, their terms of employment are generally poor, where they don't benefit from pensions, medical, and other fringe benefits. So generally speaking, those are the key indicators of inequalities in the labor market in the Kenyan context and generally in the third world nations.
Kazi gani? Bure kabisa hii. Hai mboswe. Unalialia hapo unajaribu fiber. This is fiber.
Enjoy fast uninterrupted downloads with speeds of up to 100 megabytes per second. Fiber, powered by Jamii Telkom.
Since the start of the pandemic, Kenya has received huge sums of loans and grants to address the health and socio-economic impacts of COVID-19. However, lack of transparency and accountability on how the government spent the money becomes a challenge, according to the International Budget Partnership. Dylan Gitau reports. What confused many is that the most senior civil servant in the ministry, Susan Mochache, tweeted a statement saying that they had not received the complete amount of 1 billion shillings from the World Bank and that no money had been spent at all. Dylan Gitau reports.
The projected net growth in health spending during 2021 and 2022 will cover only 28% of the country's cost shares of vaccine rollout in low-income countries and 43% in low-middle-income countries. And the projected growth in government health spending in these countries by 2026 will cover approximately only 60% of the necessary annual investment to strengthen and maintain public health.
Unafikiriaje kuhusu the COVID-19 millionaires?
On my thinking, we have a bad governance in Kenya. Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because the money, what it was meant for, it went to people's pocket. It was very bad.
Okay, what naona wanafaa waexposiwe and then walitanizo pesa at least zisaidie hao watu sisi wa Kenya, so tunataka waexposiwe tuwaone na wazirudishe.
Mimi nafikiria kuhusu jamaa walifanya kitu mbaya juu walibia, ni kama walibia wa Kenya do, so na wangechukuliwa watu at least pia si wa Kenya tujue aje kama wameshikwa tujue walishikwa na kuna hatua yenye ilichukuliwa hivyo tu.
What efforts do you think must be focused on mitigating potential corruption risks in future?
Okay, so how do we essentially ensure that we actually do have safeguards to deal with corruption? Transparency and a paper trail. Those are the two main things that it actually boils down to. So if you look, for example, at the way the IMF was lending money at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the key conditions that they kept telling countries is, we'll lend you the cash, but you then have to do an audit of exactly where this money is being spent, who's receiving it, what is it being spent on. And for you to do that, you need effective systems of keeping track of where public money is being spent, by whom, when, where, and how. Some countries do a decent job of it, and even here in Kenya, we do have a somewhat robust system of public records, but it still has a lot of room for improvement. We did find out that yes, there was a bit of money that was being spent by KEMSA, the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency, that was not being spent in a proper way. But arguably, at this point, there's still no restitution that's been done to actually get that money back and essentially hold the people who spent that money properly to account.
A new study provides evidence that the cannabis compound CBD can block infections of COVID-19 in human cells. Dennis Mungai reports.
Cannabis has evolved from that substance your parents warned you about that only hippies used. As research into cannabis therapeutic properties has developed, so has the mainstream use of cannabis products. Cannabinoids like CBD and THC are prevalent because of their extensive therapeutic benefits and ease of use, with health benefits including pain relief, improved anxiety, and reduced inflammation. It's no wonder why cannabis products have soared in popularity.
Do you think weed inasaidia kukiwa COVID-19?
Yes. Mbona? Inamaliza stress.
Do you think weed inasaidia kukiwa COVID-19?
Mbona?
Kwa sababu unajua weed na wanasemanga ni harm. Sasa unajua ikiwa inaitwa herb. Inaweza cure disease. The herb si tunaijulia kama ni kitu inasaidia watu kuponyesha wasee. Unacheki kama hadi wazee walikuwa hivyo, walikuwa wanatumia herbs hizi kujitibu dawa. Unacheki sasa sana kwa weed inasaidia kuponyesha corona. Unacheki.
Do you think weed can cure COVID-19?
It has not been proven yet, but there are studies shows that a compound found in burn, the CBD or the CBD, its metabolites, all of the acids, can be pidiolic acid. It can be used to prevent COVID infection. Because it has shown some studies that have been done that have not been published yet, probably by the WHO, says when it's ingested or taken, it helps the cells to produce interferons, which it's an antiviral, or it also prevents any changes of the virus when it has already entered the cell. So it has not been published given go ahead to use it. But I'm so sure. Well, I think it would be a good thing if at all it can work, because I think it will be probably cheaply available than maybe treating the COVID. Yes.